your boy JB, aka the King of Soul, and today we got some Jordan 1s to look at. The Air Jordan 1 Retro High 85. Now this is in that Bred colorway. Before we get into the review, do me a favor, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. If you do dig the content, also hit that share button. These videos I'll be doing on this channel are strictly for review purposes, so if you do happen to have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to drop those down below. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the review. So this sneaker does come in your standard Air Jordan 1 package in here, so it is all black for the most part throughout the entire box. Smack dead in the middle, you do have the Nike text here with the red swoosh. If you do a 360 around the box, you will notice more of that Nike branding with the swoosh there in red. The bottom portion of the box, not too much going on. It is all black, but if you do look closely, you do have some Nike branding here and copyright information in red. You also have the Wings logo here, and that's pretty much it for the most part. So for those that do care about that, there you go. Now the box label on the sneaker does read Air Jordan 1 High 85. The colorway says black, varsity red, and then white. Now when you do open the box and up underneath, nothing too much going on. It's just a hit of white. And they do have a black Nike swoosh over here on this side, and then you do have the swoosh text there as well. And that's pretty much it. Now the sneaker, as far as like, the packaging, it is like, for the most part, they do have like a lot of like white wax paper in here, and it is double wrapped, so you do have more white tissue paper, and now you're actually met with the actual sneaker itself. Now one thing I do want to make clear during this review, the cut on these is not like your standard Air Jordan 1, the high OGs. The high 85 is pretty much, close to spec to what the original Air Jordan 1s were, like, the way that they were crafted back in the 80s when they were released. I know a lot of people tend to hate, like, the higher cut on the back here. I'm a fan of it. I mean, to each his own, but I do understand, like, sometimes, like, people want to go with, like, more of like a low profile look nowadays. The entire upper of the sneaker is composed of, like, this black and red leather, and then you do have the hit of white here along the midsole. Yeah, man, excellent sneaker. Not gonna take too long on this one. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And again, this is the Air Jordan 1 High 85. And again, this is that Bred colorway. So we're gonna take a look at the right sneaker like we always do. Now from first observation, the sneaker does look like what you would expect from like any other Air Jordan 1. Again, notice the higher cut here going towards the back, but on the lateral side of the sneaker, first thing you notice is that red Nike swoosh here in leather, and they do have like, some red stitching here, more red along the panels going towards the back where the heel is, and then of course you do have more red dot leather up top. But on this sneaker, they actually gave us this embossed Wings logo on this one in black. The mid portion here, you do have some black leather here along the panels. You do have like some black stitching, and then you will have more of that black leather going towards the front toe box as well. The midsole of the sneaker, they did go ahead and give us this hit of white, but if you look closer, you can see like that hit of the varsity red showing up underneath. And then the sock liner of the sneaker, they actually went ahead and gave us this hit of black leather here. And the sneaker, to me, to the touch, it does kind of feel like, a bit stiff, but it is what it is. Excellently crafted sneaker. But that's pretty much it on the lateral side. Switching gears, going to the front toe box area, you are met with more of that red dot leather here for the toe box. You do have some perforation here with the holes cut out here, and then you do have this black mud guard here. The black mud guard does look a little bit more thicker than like, most Air Jordan 1s, but it doesn't take away from like the sneaker at all. You do have some black stitching here along the panels as well. The sneaker did come unlaced, but I did go ahead and like lace it up with these black laces here just for the video, and they did give us a secondary lace option in red. But that's pretty much it for like the lace options. But the tongue of the sneaker, they did give us like, this hit of nylon mesh here for the it's not nylon, it's actually just like, you know, some standard like mesh material here in black. And they did give us this black tongue here with the red Nike Air brand in there. Now on the back of the tongue, they did go ahead and give us like this hit of like, it's kind of like an off-white, kind of like cream color, if you will. And that's pretty much it. The inside of the sneaker for the most part is all black. They're just secondary laces, you know, in that varsity red. And they are pretty close to the red that's here on the sneaker. But I feel like the black laces are here to stay. Inside the sneaker, you do have this cream kind of off-white, you know, insole. And it does have the Nike Air branding there in red. And that's pretty much it for the front of the sneaker. And then on this, on the right sneaker, they did actually go ahead and give us this tag here with Jordan here, and then does have like, you know, the Wings logo there in red. And then of course, like, you know, it does have like, you know, some writing on the inside, and I'll be sure to get like, you know, a close-up on that and the B-roll images. Going towards the medial side of the sneaker, you do have this hit of red here for the Nike swoosh. Again, you do have more red along the panels with, you know, red stitching, and then more black leather over on this side as well. White midsole with the varsity red showing up underneath. We've seen that on the other Air Jordan 1s, nothing too different there. Now going towards the rear, they did give us the hit of the varsity red, and they did give us this red tab, and of course it does have like, you know, some black stitching. Of course you can like see like more of that black leather here for the sock liner, and then there is like more of that white midsole there on the back, but that's pretty much it. The bottom portion of the sneaker, it does look like what appears to be your standard Air Jordan 1 traction, nothing too different there. They just got, you know, gave it to us this time in that varsity red. You do have some circular traction on top, and then smack dead in the middle, you do have your Nike branding there with the swoosh. And that's pretty much it for the right sneaker. The left sneaker is pretty consistent with the right. Nothing too different there. They didn't swap up like any branding or anything like that. It just kept it consistent like any other Air Jordan 1. And then one thing that I did want to point out that I missed on the other sneaker, now they do have like, you know, this kind of like, you know, your size, and then like there's like some coating on like the inside of the sneaker. But we've seen that on like, you know, these Air Jordan 1 85 highs before. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Excellent sneaker. If I were to rate this one, I would definitely give this one a solid 10 out of 10. It's an iconic Air Jordan 1 in that Bred colorway. We already know what this is about. I like the cut on this one. Again, the colorway is a winner like always. Anytime, like I said, in that Chicago Bulls, you know, color blocking, the Jordan brand is going to win any, you know, every time. As far as like, you know, comfort and sizing, the sneaker does fit like what you would expect from like any other Air Jordan 1. To me, that is true to size. I actually want to say I feel like these might fit a little bit bigger than most Air Jordan 1s. So take that information and do with it, you know, as you will. But I recommend just sticking true to size on this one. But that's pretty much it. But I definitely want to thank the vendor who actually sent the sneaker to review on the channel for you guys. And I do encourage you to stay engaged like always. I can be reached on all social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, even here on YouTube. Everything is at the King of Soul. But before we go, I'm gonna hit you guys with a 360 and the B-roll like I always do. But there you go. Air Jordan 1 Retro, high 85. And again, this is the Bred colorway. So there's the front of the sneaker. Lateral side of the right, lateral side of the left. There's the bottom. There's the medial side. And then there's your rear. And I thank you guys for taking the time to tune in like always. But until next time, see you later.